And now I come to a bit more interactive part in how to use Galaxy. And in that, I switch now directly to Galaxy Europe because I thought it's a bit more interesting if I do it directly there and not do it in a presentation. So this is how Galaxy looks like. And it's basically you have three panels. The left panel shows you the tools which are available on the or in this Galaxy instance. These tools are also already categorized. So for example, you find tools dedicated for assembly or mapping or variant calling. So if I click on it, you find for variant calling well-known tools like BCF tool, GHGA, or for mapping, you find RNA star solo, a bow tie, etc. In the middle, you find if you enter Galaxy the first time, the welcome page. And there you find news and events. And on the right side, you have your history. If you start new, then this history is obviously empty. So I would click here, create a new history. Okay, it's lagging, great. Then this history would be empty. And in the upper panel, you find certain tabs. So this is the home button, bringing you to the front page again. And then you have workflows, showing you all the created workflows which you have created so far. Visualize, I come to a moment, is basically a tab for you to find tools to visualize your data. Then you have shared data. There you find shared resources. So shared data, so for example, annotation files or histories or workflows shared by the community in order for you to already use and integrate. And then you have the help tab where you find support from the Galaxy community, or the community hub page. And then you have the user tab. So it's basically your account. And then you have three other buttons. One brings you directly to the Galaxy training material. And the the second button is some notes about the Galaxy releases. And the third button is a window manager. And what that means, I will hopefully also explain later if I don't forget about that. Let's come to the tools. So let's, for example, search. So obviously you can also search for tools. If it's working. Maybe I have to read. Okay. Okay, then I have to probably Galaxy went down right now. That is unfortunate. Let's go to the presentation back. Okay, then if you would have searched for a tool, then, for example, join, and you click on this tool, then you greet it with in the middle, except so instead of now the welcoming page, you greet it with the tool, a tool page, where you set up the input data and also the parameters the tool needs in order to run. For example, for FastQC, you can change the length of the k-meres which detects. Then at the end, of the tool page, you will find an execute button. And this execute button then starts the data processing or data analysis step with that specific tool. Way down below, I hoped that I could show it to you actually on Galaxy. So down. You will find further information. For example, what is the purpose of this tool? What will this tool, or what will it do? What kind of input data does it need? What kind of output data will it produce? And also citations. So you basically find the paper which is related to, and also the person who developed not only the tool, but also the wrapper. For Galaxy, you always have to write a tool wrapper in order to integrate the tool into Galaxy itself. And this person is there also listed in order to communicate with these people. I mentioned this tool chat already. And I mentioned that some instances, or that the instances don't have always all the tools available, which are present in the tool chat. This tool chat, you can imagine, like is like an app store. These apps symbolizes your tools, so these tool wrappers, which you can install into your Galaxy instance very easily, actually. The only thing which, of course, you need are admin rights, so only an admin can do it. So in order for the big three that these tools are available, you have to ask the admins to install them for your local instance. So if you ever want to use Galaxy on your local machine, you immediately an admin, and you can decide on your own which tools you want to install. And this you can then easily do via this tool chat. So you simply have to go onto at your user account. You say, I have to try to remember that you want to install new tools, and then you get into a field where you see all available tools, and you can simply say install. It's installed in your Galaxy instance, and then it's ready to use. That's basically it. You saw already right now that in my history, all things. Thank you for that information. It's not quick, but it's loading. That's good. Yeah, okay. You see right now that that everything is green. So I mentioned that all these steps are kind of I said data processing steps, but technically it's your data sets. Either it's the input data, so your raw data, which is here some two FASTQ files, or some resulting files from the tools. And this can be green, meaning your processing step was successfully finished. But it can also be gray, which is you executed the tool and it's currently in the queue and running. This is the gray state. And then the yellow state. So the yellow state is the running phase. Gray is just waiting for the to be executed. And green is success and red is when it fails. There can be three to think right now, but it's technically three issues why it failed. It's either you executed the tool wrongly, so wrong sets of parameters, or wrong input data, something like this. Second one is there is really a bug in the wrapper. Then you have to contact the Galaxy people if you work on these Galaxy or public Galaxy instances. That this wrapper is fixed, or you can also, if you're familiar with programming, you can also engage in the community and fix the error yourself. Or there's really an issue with a tool, and this goes then into, well, the people who develop the tool, that you have to contact them, try to fix that error, and then the tool is updated and the wrapper is updated, and then you can do your data analysis again. There is also a way for you, so there exist also 3 things to organize your history a bit better. So you can also delete data sets or hide them. So you can simply click, for example, here on this button and then say, I want this item to be hidden. Then you simply click here on hide. And then you have in this icon here showing you how many data sets are hidden. So you can filter for it and see which kind of data sets are present. I think it's still a bit slow. This is useful, for example, if you have a very long data analysis and you just want to focus on specific outputs, then this hiding helps quite easily. And this can also be set up in the workflows. You can also, in the workflows itself, can check which kind of data sets are more interesting and which are not, and you can immediately hide them. Okay, let me check. So histories. Of course, you cannot only have one history, but multiple histories. So in order for you to, if you know you at some point later on you need to go back to this data analysis, or you want to test out other stuff, then you can switch between histories with this button here. This is a quick switch. Here you can see all the histories you created so far. In order for, because here you don't really, except for the name, I mean, the name points out what you might have done, but still you might not know anymore what this history contains. Then you can go on this option here, show history side by side. And then you see technically the histories side by side. Let's go back to the presentation. So you get into that mode here, and then you see side by side all your available histories and see immediately what data sets are available. Okay, yeah, this is the, this is exactly what I wanted to show. Let's go back to the main page. Of course, you can upload data in order for you to do your data analysis. And there you have several options. One is you upload your data from your local machine. So this is here the choose local files. That, however, you know that data can be quite big, so this is not always possible. Therefore, you have an option to either upload data from remotely from other resources. For example, from your Dropbox FTP, from an FTP directory, or public available resources. There is, for example, 1000 Genomes project. So it's immediately available here, the data. For certain databases, you actually need to use a tool. For example, for UCSC, in table browser, you find, let me hopefully find it quickly. You find, there was a cell browser. That is not what I wanted to search for. Table browser. Here. So if you click on it, then you're directly linked to the UCSC database table browser. And from here, you can select send output directly to Galaxy. So the data which you fetch from UCSC is then immediately imported into your Galaxy history. Let's go back. Other way also to import data is via an URL link. So if you have, for example, a Zenodo link, and I show this to you in a moment, then you can simply paste these URLs here and Galaxy imports the data directly into your history. Then regarding your data itself, if you upload your data, you can select here that Galaxy automatically detects what kind of data type it is. Quite often it works. If not, then you obviously can also set it up yourself. So if you know it's FASTQ data, then you can select FASTQ here. And also you can set up which genome build it is from. Later we will use mouse data from the reference MM10. And then you have to select the MM10 here. Why do you need to do this? Certain tools need to know which data type they deal with. And also sometimes genome builds. For example, for mapping, the mapping, let's say Botai needs to know if this needs to be mapped to the mouse reference genome, and therefore you have to set up your genome build. If you forgot or if you forgot to set it here, or it is not automatically detected, then you can also click on this pencil icon here. And there you can change the database build, or you can also change your data type. What you can also do if you, I try to now think of a good example. If you see that you have a text file and that is closely, or it's in a BD format, then you can also convert your data type, your text file, for example, into a BD format. Or you can also convert here directly, let's say, a SAM file into a BAM file, or vice versa. That's also possible here. Yeah, shared data. So reference data sets. I mentioned that there are shared, there's also shared data in some Galaxy instances already available. You find this here under the shared data tab. If you here, for example, click on data libraries, you find genome annotations, the mentioned MM10 or HG38. Also, you find share the workflows if it's loading, which other people developed, and you can import them to either run them directly or edit them. For example, there's a cut and run workflow here, some nanopore, so you find a lot of workflows ready to use. And the other tab is the workflow editor I mentioned. In there, you already saw that executing a tool is not that hard anymore. It's just selecting and executing, and then you do your data processing step with this particular tool. And the same easy to use principle you have for creating workflows. If you ever create a new workflow, let's say it's unnamed, then you find the kind of the same layout a bit. So these three structures. On the left, you have your tool panel where you find all available tools in that instance. In the middle part, you'll find your workflow field where you create currently a workflow. And on the right side, it will show you what we had before for the specific tool, the parameter set, which was previously in the middle. Let's say we have input data, and then we want to create a simple workflow where you have FASTQ files, and you want to do a quality control with these FASTQ files. Then you search for FastQC, for example. Then you have your FastQC tool here. You see already what possible inputs you have for this tool. Doesn't mean these inputs are all required. Sometimes they are optional. So you have to read a bit the tool panel, which you see here now on the right. And now I can show it to you again. So for FastQC, you see the parameters. And you see here again an explanation, what is the tool doing? FastQC aims to provide a simple way to do some quality control. Input outputs explanations and citations. And then you simply do drag and drop, combine them, and that's it. So that's basically a workflow for quality control for if you have standard FastQs. That's for an individual file. If you have like a set of files, you have also, and I recommend to read more about this, about dataset collections or lists. There's also a possibility if you ever have a very long list, let's say 20, 30 data sets, and you don't want to execute this workflow for all of the data sets, then you can do a dataset you create a dataset collection. So you remove this here, so you combine this. And then this workflow runs on dataset collections, and it will be executed for all these 30 datasets automatically. And you don't have to worry about querying or anything, you just execute the workflow. Which we can, let's save that, which we can do. So if you would then click on run workflow, you can simply select your input data here and then select run workflow. And the rest Galaxy will do for you. Okay. There's also possibilities for visualizing your data. I mentioned this tab here. So there you find tools in order to create graphs or tracks. So genome tracks, for example, with tracks for your data. It is possible for Galaxy to immediately recommend you a certain visualization. So if you click here on the data set, yeah, let's on the J browser. So these are some the bow tie alignments, let's say. So this is BAM files. Then you have this button here for this visualization button. And then it immediately recommends for you two tools in order for you to look at these BAM files. One is, you mentioned, Trackster, and the other is the editor. I will not execute this here right now. It takes a bit of time to do. If you if you want to have it a bit more personalized, then there exist also interactive tools. So you will find in the big three definitely Jupyter. So if you're familiar with Python and Jupyter notebooks, then you will find a tool here to create Jupyter notebooks where you can process your data further and more specifically. Same is also for our studio. There exists also a tool for that. And other tools as well in order to do it a bit more personalized. So I mentioned quite often now the sharing. You can do also yourself. You can share the history, for example, with another user. So you have here this button. If you click on this icon here, then you can say, please share or publish my history, which is very beneficial if you ever think about it. So you do your data analysis, and quite often you want to get some ideas or some input to your data analysis, or you run into an error and you don't know what happened, what was the mistake. Then you can simply share and publish with another user this history, and the user can immediately fix this bug or do additional steps in this history. And then you do really collaborative work for this data analysis. And the same thing goes with your workflows. So you can also export your workflows, and another user can import your workflow in their Galaxy instance in order to see what you have done. Let me check if I've forgotten anything. One thing which is also useful to know: if you did your data analysis step by step and you are now at the end point, and it was a very long data analysis, and you then say, okay, what I have done is very useful for other users or for me as well, because I want to do it later on. So I want to create a workflow from it. But it's for me now a bit tedious, because I've done now already so many steps. Maybe in between, I don't know anymore what I have done. So in the workflow editor, I would need to now do step by step again, construct it again. Therefore, there's also an option to extract a workflow from your history immediately. So you have this option here, extract workflow. You would click on it. Then you would, and I say create workflow. Let's edit it. Then you would immediately see what I have done here. And we will do that in a moment. And you would see that I've used paired and sequence data, did a quality control with FastQC, threw it into cut adapt for trimming, threw it into bow tie for mapping, and then did a track visualization with JBrowse. Bam, that's it, my workflow.